kind of get into our thoughts and calm our body before we try to ask some demanding things of it today. So if you will bring your big toe edges to touch and then a little space through the heels. We're going to start with our breathing exercise. It's funny, breathing exercise, right? Fingertips down, interlace, and just draw your knuckles right up under your jawline. Allow the elbows to float up and feel like, when you pull your elbows up, do you have a sense of restriction in the shoulders? So that's initially what I want you to think about. And as you gently rock your head back, draw the shoulder blades down and then try to squeeze the space between the elbows to closed, which may be really challenging, right? So lift elbows up, breathe in, stand tall, don't stop. As you stand tall, try to not overly exaggerate your S curve. Keep your tailbone tucked under and your abs drawn in, and then jaw up. Exhaling, close the space between the elbows. All right, we're going to do 3 more uninterrupted. Lift and breathe. Shoulders out of the ears, belly to spine, pelvic tilt, nice strong knees. Pull elbows to close and exhale. Inhale. Even if you feel like you can't fully get your inhale, that's like a strange sensation for me sometimes. As I go to breathe in, I have to really be mindful to let my abdominal muscles extend, right? Inhale, this is going to be your last one. We spend a lot of time pulling our navel in a stress mode. Exhale. Do one more, because I want you to feel yourself let the abdominal muscles expand as you inhale. Doesn't that feel like you have to really think about letting the abdomen protrude? Pull it in now, belly to spine. Try to tuck the tailbone, shoulders out of the ears, squeeze the elbows together, and then relax. All right, work it apart. If you'll separate your feet, allow your hands to come around the body, gently tapping, right? Palm and the back of the hand, like there's a coordinated aspect here. And if hopefully your body naturally does it, where the arm that's behind you turns itself so that the back of the hand is tapping the hip. And then the front arm, right, is palm to hip. All right, so here we go. Shoulders out of the ears. How much swivel can you get? You can over swivel and still not hurt yourself, right? If your knees are nice and soft, you can find that you'll get around much further, which is okay, right? That's okay. But you have to make sure that your knee and ankle, right? Like everything follows the tracking line. So don't overly rotate the upper body if the legs haven't come along for the ride. That's like, well, why wouldn't they come along for the ride? Because sometimes all that happens is your heel lifts, but yet you don't get the rotation. So this is what I find is a very limiting factor for a lot of people that I work with. While you're in this, like, just loose rotation, still drawing your abs in, right? And now, if you can feel what your heel is doing. If your heel is only lifting from the floor and you think you're swiveling, that's your body trying to protect itself, not from falling down, but this little bit of balance that's not being engaged to its full potential. If the heel lifts without you swiveling, that is your body in a restricted mode from tight hip flexor, but also an alignment thing of where are the rest of your parts stacked that would permit you to go all the way around without feeling like you're going to lose your balance. 5, 4, 3, 2, release and relax. All right. So pick an arm, hand to shoulder. Your elbow is going to be drawing this big circle, and no different from how we normally do this. Big rock step, pull it up, push back. And on the push back, okay, so for the next 5, we're not going to worry about whether or not the foot tracks out or forward in line with the other foot. Your body's preference is probably going to be similar to mine, whereas the arm pulls back, the foot opens up, right? Because it gives you this freedom. Do one more, and then we're going to change the effort. So now, as I get coming forward to you, when you step back, don't let the hip open, track with the toe, rock the heel, right? So you're rocking your weight back to the heel on your back leg, the toes lift up, and in our most ideal expressive position, we're now adding both arms. So you're still staying with same arm moving with the leg. Here's the complexity. Track back, you're in line, front leg extends with the toe up and the arms trade places. Pull up, push back, bend down, push the hips back, the arms start to travel, come up, and if the long arm is too much, go hand to shoulder, right? Here we go. I know, it's like, why? And it's on the back end of this. That's when I want you slow, because your back foot, the ankle, the foot is having to flex in order to permit the front heel, right, to be the load. This is your last one back. Squat down, push, relax the arms, release. There's so much more to this. Arm number 2, hand to shoulder, arm and leg working together. Allow the hip to open up, lift and breathe, inhale up, pull it back, exhale down. You do not have to work with your softened arm. You can do full extension if you've got no glitches. Push. When I take my arm up, I'm imagining that I'm grabbing hold of a handle that is on a track, and that I get to glide it back, because my awareness is that our parts need help in elongation, right? So if I think about that handle, taking my arm, keeping it lengthened from the socket, I get to pull. Now, this is your last one with the leg opening back. Okay, so now get ready. I'm going to face forward again. Step the leg forward. When the leg tracks back, right? When the leg tracks back, bend the back leg, push the hip back, pull the toes up on the front leg, right? Get ready. Step forward, raise up. Pull back. You're going slow because you're having to track into a partial squat. Push the arm back, raise the toes on the front foot. Now, in my own practice, when I get back here to this position, I drop my arms and I take myself down to a hamstring stretch and I add into it. You want to try that? Push back, drop the arm, let your body come into this hip hinge, look down at your foot, pull the toes up, right there. Massively different stretch. Pull up, step and stride, rock back, pause, drawing the hips down, drawing the arm down, raising the foot, and lowering yourself into your stretch. 2 more. Pull it up, inhale. Push back, pausing because you're compressing. You're in controlled descent. toes up and slide into the stretch. Massive. Roll up, do this last one. Big stretch, push back, gliding down, 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 down. Hit the pause, square your parts up, lift the toes, and proceed with the floating down. Wow. Up you come. Release and relax. So I'm going to put my mat down so that my feet can have a little bit of gripping power. I want you to think about this little series that in the past we've done. That's probably not going to stay. We'll see. Okay. So there are a lot of people who don't know exactly what it is that I do. People that I play pickleball with, right? Like they know that I teach some class. And they know that when people talk to me about they've got like, achy, crabby part here and there, that they can talk to me and I can give them, generally a good suggestion of what they might consider doing. And so often they think that I'm a yoga instructor because they just don't know. And one man, you're starting into your warrior stride. All right, so think about what is warrior. I want you to allow this front leg to truly be pointed straight ahead to the wall off your side. And your back leg is definitely angled in. What the back leg has to maintain is what I call its anchor. What does that word even mean? Anchor. Anchor is something that's braced and strong, it's holding. So we don't want our anchor to have slack and a collapsed position. We want this back knee to be strong because that will transfer up into the glute strength. And all I want you to do is press your front leg into a deep bend. And as I'm looking at myself in the screen, this is where a mirror comes in handy. If you look down the side, right, you can often tell, is your knee going beyond your toes? And there's nothing wrong with that, except for this position, we want to just inch our foot a little bit further forward so we have a much cleaner vertical line from knee to ankle. So though this is a yoga movement, I am not a yoga instructor, all right? And so one man gave somebody some information saying, oh, you might want to talk to Michelle because she's a yoga instructor. And then he brought him over to me and introduced me and said, and then he said, well, are you actually a yoga instructor? And I was like, no. I was like, but I am a fitness instructor and a personal trainer. And so, I might be able to point you in the right direction. And then after I was done talking to the man that he introduced me to, he then reapproached and he said, he said, I'm really sorry if that was offensive. And I was like, I'm not offended by that. So, what we do, what I do, I hope you're just floating into this is extended side angle stretch into exalted warrior. Extended side angle stretch. Wow. Into exalted warrior. Do one more. Bring it on down. Wow. Come on back. Now, swivel front leg in. If you had a line on your mat, hopefully both feet are on the same line. I know that sounds funny, right? As you rotate your next leg, you want the heel to line up with the arch of the rear foot. That is pretty important, okay? All right, so here we go. Start the bending so you can figure out When you bend your front leg, does your back leg go soft knee? Because that's not a good position for your knee right there. So really make it straight. As you make it straight, hopefully you're going to take this hip and rotate it out a little bit back so that your glute fires up. Nothing is ever as straightforward as it seems when it comes to getting our tight parts, hip flexors, our tight parts need a little encouragement to actually go into the position, the correct position. You have a whole series of muscles called your stabilizers, right? So, and stabilizers, all of our muscles at some point in different movements become stabilizers, all right? So right at this moment, as you're pushing into the stretch, your body needs to be able to recruit the quadricep and the glute as a means of stabilizing the part of you that is actually supposed to be receiving the stretch. Right? Here we go. Extended side angle stretch happens when your high arm comes over, and this line from the high hand to the bottom foot actually gets into a long line. That is called extended side angle stretch. Float back, brace, push the arm up, let the front leg bend, just holding yourself in this position. You have active muscles and stabilizing muscles, right? Push, 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 extend, bringing your arm towards your cheek, pull back, bend the front leg, raise the eyes, come into it, glide down, take this back arm, turn your head towards your arm. Oh, come back. You've got one more. Belly to spine, stiffening up at your knee, firing up your glute, pushing the outside edge of that rear foot to the floor more, and now release. Swivel the leg in. I want you to try to do this next thing because it's a little coordination. Can you take both heels in, both toes, right? In, heel, toe, heel, toe. Walk it off. Okay. Now, we are going to grab our chair, or you're going to grab your foam roller or something that you can prop your foot up with, and you need extra knee cushion. If you know that this is a particularly tight part for your body, then you give yourself the easiest version that you can start off with, right? Because you can always make it harder. And frankly, with what you just did, that was pretty intense on your legs, all right? So knee down, one knee's going to be on your pillow, that foot to the chair, other leg forward, and then you're going to try to take your body line and get it as straight as you can. If you can't pull up, then that means this knee that's on the floor is too close to your chair. You would just scooch it forward a little bit more. All right. Here's what you're going to practice. Push the fanny back a little bit because you hopefully right at that moment will feel like, no stretch. And then as soon as you pull the hips, right, it's like two parts. As soon as the hips and the shoulders start aligning with the belly into spine, now the stretch is happening. So offload, reload. When I watch my clients do this, sometimes what I see is that they only are getting one part of the reload phase. It is not about the shoulders pulling back. It is about the shoulders come back when the pelvic tilt happens. So let's not think about pulling the shoulders back. Let's think about taking the tailbone and doing our pelvic tilt, because once that happens, then there's no stress. We don't want to pinch and crimp the low back, and that's precisely what will happen if your only focus is on rocking your shoulders back. So forget about rocking the shoulders. Frankly, if your shoulders will permit this, expand your arms, push the shoulders away from your ears. See if you can draw your hands to the back of your hip line and then curl the tailbone under. Ah, offload. Keep the shoulders pulling back and down. Belly to spine. Rock the tailbone to a more neutral position. Massive amount of stretch, right? Soften. Do one more. Belly to spine. Roll, 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 roll. And now, we're as limber as we're going to get in this position, so just hang on to it. Can you release your hands? Take your arms, put them out in front of you. Twist your upper body towards your front leg. Could you put one hand, the opposite hand on that front knee? Can your hand find, if you're using a chair and not your foam roller, then let your hand find the chair. Keep zipping and then turn your head, right? Look at your back arm. And while you're looking at your back arm, try to keep zipping up, pelvic tilt. Now, release. The path of least resistance. Bring your hands down to the inside of that front leg. Work that front leg around, put it up, whether it's on your foam roller or your chair. Scoot your knees where they need to be. Move the hands wide and bring that other leg around. Okay, here we go. Goodness. Now we have to go get this side to be rubbery and pliable. So let's just push the hips back, pull the hips forward. And the thing about it is, from right to left side, we don't have an exact, the exact same sensation often. All right. So what side of your body presents that this is less or more stretch? Because if it's less stretch and you don't have any trouble getting yourself uprighted, then you just get to take your knee and move it back a little bit. Knowing how to change your gradient for what the muscle is presenting to you, right? So if it's too much stretch, come down, move the knee a little bit forward, because all you need is just the tippy toes to touch your raised object, right? Not enough stretch, back it up. My left thigh is a little bit more flexible than my right one. Okay, so here we go. Let the hip push back. Forget about the shoulders. Just start cleaning up this section of your body right here. Pelvic tilt. And then release. Belly to spine, pelvic tilt. And then straighten and release, right? Try that. Try the components of it. Belly to spine. As soon as you pull your navel into your spine, the C curve starts happening. So stay with the C curve until your hip comes away from your heel, and then change your alignment. And then release it. Pelvic tilt, be in C curve, pull the hips away from the heel, and then align the shoulders. Massive. Hip to heel, belly to spine, pelvic tilt, start straightening. One more time. Hip, pelvic tilt, curling, 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 curling. So here's the interesting thing. I can stay forward and get a really deep pelvic tilt that gives me a massive amount of stretch lower in the quad. And then as soon as I start pulling myself up, the stretch literally feels like it's just like it's defining that word. It's isolated. And then when I lengthen my trunk, I feel the stretch actually get through more muscle fiber and release. Hands down. Don't come out of it. Can you put both feet on your object? Rut row, right? So now move your hands forward. This is kind of going to be a little test and trickery all at the same time. So I want you to shove your hips back towards your feet, and I want you to stretch the arms forward. And then you're going to let the body weight come forward as if you were getting ready to do a push-up, but you're not going to bend your arms. Now, shove the hips back. This is a version of, right? We're kind of in child's pose, kind of in downward dog, all modified. And now start laying the body into its full, I call this forward leaning rest. Push back. If you need to alter your hand position, because when you come into your forward leaning rest, it feels like it's too much pressure on your wrists, then make fists and turn your knuckles in, shoulders out of the ears. And now squeeze your belly up to your spine, pinch your buns, and you get to let your hips float down a little bit, which is another version of cobra. But you're not doing this without being really tight through the belly and spine. Start rocking back. You shouldn't have to move your hands. You're pushing your hips and you're letting your head come through the arms, and the buns push back as far to the feet as you can get. And now pull the belly up into the spine. Feel your spine round itself like you're in cat back. Keep abs and glutes tight as you continue to lay yourself forward. Keep abs and glutes tight as you let the hips sink a little bit. And now push back, hips to heels, head through the arms. This is very odd. I know we're doing a lot of things right here. Ready? So from this push position, you're going to pull your navel up into your body and round your back. And now as you're rounding your back, you're transitioning out of that deep push to a forward floating active hold here. Shoulders out of the ears, hips pulled up. So you can be in pelvic tilt and be in a lowered hip position, but you're braced. Do this last one. Ready? Push back. Let the head come between the arms and let the hands push the hips back as far as the hips will take it. And now if you inch the heels of your hands forward just a little bit, it will allow you to get your head lower, but I don't want your head on the floor. You are actively stretching your lats and the tricep connection. Okay, you ready? Belly to spine. Start rounding the spine. Your abs and glutes are active. You're going into your forward leaning rest, shoulders out of the ears. Keep active through the navel to spine. Keep pulling the shoulders out of the ears. And now I want you to feel like your body is going into a cobra hold, right? And with cobra hold, your gaze is going to track up. This is it. Relax the neck. Start pulling yourself out of the position. Walk the hands back. What do you need to do to get your feet from your elevated surface before you come all the way up? Well, I want you to stay on your pad, but bring your body up. Okay, if you feel like your chair is in the way, move it a little bit. Goodness. You being able to do your wrist need some rollies, right? If you feel like you got some pressure through the wrists, right? Just work little circles, right? And as soon as you're ready, this is what I want you to do. I want you to try to transition back to kneeling. And in the event you need hand support, don't hesitate to put a hand down or two, step the leg, and then try to regain posture. Hands down. You can work the hands around to the other side, right? And then regain your posture, or fingertips on the chair. But when you get to the foot forward, it's going to be wide because we want to be able to glide into the stretch. Pull back, knee down, foot angled, drive the stretch. Wow, right? Wow. Pull back. There's a reason why I'm not stepping straight ahead. We pretty much already did that aspect of our limb, right? So now as the leg tracks wide, we're getting a deeper stretch through adductor, right? Pull back. One more to each side. I am expressive. I use my arms to help offset. And now twist towards that front leg. Pull back. Again. Stride. Take the big stretch. Twist towards the front leg. Release. Step up out of this. Grab a little drink. Let's hit the kind of the reset button for your body. All right. You're done with your chair. I want to prepare you for the floor. And what we're going to need is our foam roller. You are also going to need possibly 2 big pillows. So at a yoga studio, they would have a bolster. And a bolster is probably 2 feet long. It's, I would say, 8 inches of depth to it. So when you look at something like this, right, that's probably 2 inches. That's 2.5 inches. And yet I have this pillow that kind of looks like a bolster, but it's thin. So I'm going to end up using both of these if I need to. I want you to have options because I don't want you to have to get back up. So your towel for your head when that time comes, your stretch out strap for when that time comes. We are starting with our foam roller to hopefully get a snap, crackle, pop. And I'm going to have 2 pillows just in case my foam roller isn't really comfortable. Okay. So we're coming to our back and we're going to try to get a snap, crackle, pop through the thoracic spine. Oh, yeah. Take your time coming down. Now, if you don't have a foam roller, don't worry. You can just lay on your back, pull your knees to your chest, give those legs a big hug. We're not going to be here long. So with your body starting into its setup, wrap your hands around your head. Raise the hips a little bit. Start moving the feet forward so that you can get that foam right to the tops of the shoulders. Belly to spine and slow push back. As you're pushing back, try not to hold your breath. Be prepared to walk the feet back with you to the point where right when the foam gets under the shoulder blades, I just got 3 little adjustments. Move the feet forward, let the shoulders rest on the foam, hips are really close to the floor, and then start the push again. You can go to whatever tempo suits you. I just know that as I go slow and I exhale, that's generally when I get an adjustment. You're going to do one more time. Sometimes you don't even realize that you need an adjustment until it happens for you, right? And then sometimes you're craving an adjustment, but the body is so tight and restricted that no matter what you try, it just won't happen. So hips down, chin to chest. You're going to offload. We're going to move the foam. So this is not a new movement. I just don't give it every single stretch out class, right? But here's where we start. The foam roller may be too intense for you. Two things we're going to do. The first one is this. I want to make sure that your pillows are handy in the event that you need to bolster your hips or swap out the pillows for the foam roller. Okay, so here we go. We have to figure out how far do we need to push the foam away from us so that we can recline and have our head on the foam without the neck being in this crimped back position. So that's what you get to explore. How do you settle in and get your head on the foam, get your tailbone on the floor, draw your chin towards your chest so that your eyes are not staring up and back. You want to try to draw your gaze to where the wall and the ceiling meet. And that might require you to manually lift your head, tuck your chin, and then guide your neck back to the foam. All the while, can I just say that for most of us, this is going to feel like a very extreme position for your body. So the closer your foam is to your hip line, the more extreme it's going to feel. Find the sweet spot. And now here are parameters for if you need to modify. If you need to modify and you just can't find the position of where do you put the foam in order to keep the head in the right spot, the first course of action would be to elevate the hips so that you're more neutral, right? That's where your pillow comes in handy. So I'm going to take the pillow out. I just wanted to show you. But with my middle back, right between my shoulder blades is where the foam is. In this position, my neck is actually really comfortable. And now I'm going to move the pillow from my buns. And as I draw my back, my abdomen into my spine, and I'm in C curve, that's how I want to lower my hips down. If you're on the foam and you're in excessive S, don't be surprised by that, because that will be your body's natural position to help you maintain this setup. But I want you to try to go to C curve just a little bit. Take out the excessive S. Why would we do this position? What is this all about? If you can extend your arms to T with the palms up, just hang out here for a few more seconds, chin to chest. You're looking forward. Your body's in a little bit of C curve, right? Relax the shoulders and just hang out here. Our bones, oddly enough, we don't really think about our bones being pliable, right? Or like my bone is hard as a rock. Well, guess what? Applied force will alter the shape of your bones, right? Too much applied force, what happens? The bones break. But gently applied force over and over and over and over and over and over and over again actually shapes the bones. Now, take your hands, support your head, help yourself. Easy does it, because it might be very awkward getting off your hard object. Pull yourself up. Applied force again and again and again and again and again will shape your bones. Point in case. You can always tell when someone has had a very sedentary life, right? Because what shape has their body conformed to? We do not want to look like we've been seated in a recliner. We want to do the opposite of that. And that's why these movements right here, as awkward and as uncomfortable as they are, I should say, the more awkward and uncomfortable it is, that is your wake-up call, that your spine is losing its natural curvature. We are trying to encourage the body to reshape that area. So now, phase 2 with the foam roller. I'm hoping, and I'm almost positive, that both of you have the long foam roller. My hope is that you do. All right. Sit on it, tailbone, guide yourself back. If you don't have the long foam roller, don't worry about it. Right? Just lay on the floor, bend your legs. So I'm going to set us up on the long foam roller. Let me just, okay, I'm going to go back to if you don't have the long foam. If you don't have the long foam roller, you want to position the foam roller so that your head is supported and wherever the rest of the foam roller goes. And then you will elevate your hips by using 1 or 2 pillows as if it's an extension to the foam roller, right? So now, head is on the foam, your chin is comfortably drawn. Take your low back, pull it down to the foam, squeeze. You're going to feel yourself have to fire up your buns and pull your navel in. Your chin is drawn to the chest without your shoulders being elevated up to the ears. So glide your shoulders down and keep your ribs down so that your lumbar is touching the foam. As if that's not enough. Your feet need to be situated under your knees and yet parallel to each other. So open arms to T. Make a little adjustment through your neck. Keep pulling the ribs and the low back down. Pick an arm. Let one arm track towards your hip, up to the ceiling, over the head to the floor, and then this wide sweep. Here we go. Hand to hip, hand to shoulder, thumb to floor. Turn the palm open and let the wing take its full stretch. So up, this is a reverse circle. If you're going the other way with your arm, you're just encouraging that forward rounded shoulder. We want to get out of forward round. And if your shoulder is really fighting the wide arc up here overhead, soften the elbow, let your fingers go to the shoulder and let your circle happen with what you're doing with your elbow. All right. That is the easiest way to offload some of the stress, is just to bend your arm or shorten the lever. Now, let this arm go into its stretch. Wherever that is comfortably for you, the palm is open. Let's check back in, pick up your head, tucking the chin, lowering the neck back to the foam. Take your ribs, pull them down, feel your lumbar, get closer to the foam, and then tighten your buns. Relax the shoulder on your non-working arm, and then begin arm number 2. Big circle from the hip to the ceiling. Stretch the arm back overhead. Hopefully it's your thumb that's reaching for the floor overhead. And then the hand goes into palm open position. And you're going to move really slow because I want you to feel the little nuances of what happens when your hand turns itself from thumb down to palm up. as it goes through the slow arc. That should give you a stretch all the way through the armpit to the elbow, right? If your shoulder permits this fully extended arm. Can you keep your ribs down, low back pulling down? Here we go. Big circle. Inhale, stretching arm. Shoulder blades are out of the ears. Try not to just stare up and behind you at the ceiling. Draw your gaze forward. So peripherally, I can see my thighs, right? Now, both arms to the hips, raise them up to the ceiling. Stretch them overhead. Do not let the hands gravitate towards one another. Let the arms have a flare, right? And then did the back arch, pull the back down to the foam, and then slowly expand. Do one more. Lift and breathe in. Keep the arms wide. Stretch back. Your thumbs are turned to the floor. Don't rush the expansion. Let gravity stretch the shoulders and then slowly expand. Wow. Now, I did say that was going to be the last one, but I want you to do one more. Here's what's going to happen. Raise the arms. So as you take your stretch back, let's just check back in with the lumbar, squeeze the buns, chin to chest, your neck is as flat as you can get it. And now as the arms start that big expansion, at some point, I want you to just let the arms hang out there. So that's going to be a different angle for each of us. It depends on how flexible the joint is, right? The goal is to allow the weight of your arm to find connection to the floor. Stretch, not strain. The palms are turned up, belly to spine, lumbar to the foam, actively contracting the glutes. Shoulders are out of the ears and you're staring forward, not straight up. Holding this for 5, 4, 3. That should feel like a massive amount of stretch is happening across the chest. And now glide the arms down. Whew. All right, take your hands, support your head, pick your head up off the foam. It's just easier to get off that way, and then help yourself off. Oh, Nelly, now come up. You're not going to stay up because now your spine is in as close to neutral as it's going to be all day long. So we're going to take advantage of that. Move your foam. Come to your back. And here's what I hope you're going to feel is something really like quite nice. So as you come down, rock the legs a little bit, knees to chest, like feel yourself get your length and settled in. One knee to the chest, the other leg slides to its straight position. You can hold your leg behind the thigh or across your knee, whichever feels more comfortable. It's more about you have to figure out if you're able to grab across the knee, but yet your shoulders are pulling away from the floor and your neck is in the wrong spot, then you need to opt for behind the knee so that you can get your shoulders down and the rest of your parts doing the right thing. All right, so now switch legs. And that might require you to do a trial run. How much control do I have with my shoulders when my hands are gripping my leg across the knee? Does it feel better if I go behind the knee and then I can really get it cinched down? Switch legs. Sometimes it's not that the hands and the shoulders are presenting the problem. It's that the knee lacks the flexion for you to grip and get that tight position. So now that you're here, you're going to see
If your hands are going across the kneecap, can you grab lower? Can you go down your shin a little bit? And once you like go, oh, okay, I've got it, then push the shoulders away from the ears, lengthen the neck, pull your thigh towards your abdomen and lengthen the other leg. This position right here, that really, really tight line of getting the ankle and foot close to the hamstring, is actually part of your knee integrity. So I can take my hand, I can put it essentially right across the top of my ankle, and I can get my heel to touch my fanny. And while I have the other hand, pull it to the knee, shoulders are down, release and relax. How healthy is the knee? That's kind of your test. Switch legs. So you do not have to go to that full extreme, but maybe your body will, right? So I'm going to take my opposite hand to my knee and I'm going to initiate the tuck that way. And then my other hand is going to work down my shin and I'm going to see if I can get my foot to pull towards the back of that thigh. And now that I got the connection, I'm going to draw my shoulders down and I'm going to pull my thigh to my abdomen and pull my heel to my bum. Crazy, right? Shoulders out of the ears, release and relax. Leg number one, it's up, no hands, pull it across you. Ah. How are we doing? Everybody okay? You're just here holding. Can you take your bottom leg, slide it up so that now both legs are stacked? Wow, massive stretch, right? All right, so take your far arm, close the book, raise your head. You get to use both hands. The top arm is going to be doing the majority of the push, and the top leg lifts. Push yourself up. The bottom elbow pushes you the rest of the way. Up you go. And hopefully you're not like spatially dizzy, right? Take a moment. Now, can you extend the front leg? Extend the back leg. Rebend. Oh, and bend. Ready? Open it up. Open it up. Bend it back. Bend it back. Guess where we're going? Hands. Right? Stack the leg, let your head rest, raise the top arm, extend the bottom arm, open sesame. Close the top arm, move the high leg, pick up your head, top hand loads, bottom elbow pushes, and then help yourself up. Unfold, unfold, refold, refold. Switch. Crazy, right? Guide. It's gentle. Tuck in. This is your last one on the side. So now that you're kind of in this fetal position, I want you to start rolling your shoulders back away from your bottom arm. Put the back of the head on the floor. Turn the head. Follow your extending arm. Okay. Close the book. Help yourself up. Forget about your legs. We're just switching from end to end. So much. We've done so much here. Okay. We got to make sure we get it on the other side. So you're starting. Here's where you're starting. I said other side, but that's not exactly how we're starting. You're starting on your back because we want to take it from the top. And there's been so much that we've done that it might be hard to remember where is the top. The top is this. Grab your knee to your chest, pull it in,
Figure out, do you want hands across the knee or hands behind the thigh? Rock yourself into your nice flat position. Pull your shoulders out of the ears. The elbows, my friends, should be drawing in towards your ribs, and you should feel your wings, which are your scapulas, tucking in towards each other. That's where we start. Switch legs. Pull it in. Now decide, do you want your hands behind your knee or across the knee? Shoulders out of the ears, elbows tucking in, your shoulder blades drawing towards each other. Switch legs. I'm going to go opposite hand across my knee and then my free hand to my ankle, and I'm pulling my foot towards my bum. All the while I'm drawing my knee to my torso. Shoulders out of the ears, elbows towards the ribs. Release. Leg number 2, opposite hand goes to the knee if you're going that way. Free hand goes to the ankle. Pull your foot towards your bum and then pull your knee towards your chest. And now, take that leg, let it go. Come across your body for your stretch. Settle in the shoulder blades. You're like, oh yeah, that's how we got into this position. Are you ready? Take the bottom leg, slide it up, and now both legs are stacked and a massive amount of stretch should be happening. Take your far arm, close the book, pick up your head. That hand is going to go over the top of the bottom arm because you need it for a lever. Pick up the top leg, push into the hand, bend the other arm, the hand and the elbow drive you up, and then you make your adjustment. Ready? See, we didn't need our strap after all. Unfold, unfold, rebend to the other side. Oh, internal and external hip rotation. Use your hands if you feel like your body needs a little bit more encouragement to get into that position. Help yourself down. Move slowly, right? And then from your fetal position, you are going to lengthen your bottom arm, pull your chest away from that bottom arm so that you can turn your head and look at the extending arm. Close the book, pick up the head, set the hand, bend the other arm, push yourself up, work it around. Unfold, unfold, rebend, rebend. Ready? Stretch, stretch, bend, come down. Stacking legs. Bottom arm reaches. You pull away from that bottom arm, turn the head. This is the last time, okay? Close the book. Bend the bottom arm, top hand loads, top leg leverages, push up. And once we get unfolded, we're going to shimmy to the middle. This is where we're going to finish. Finishing with our nice little inner thigh stretch and obliques. So don't go as wide as you can. Just go as wide as you can get the backs of the legs to stay active to the floor. That's really important. All right. So push down. This is kind of a test, and this really is our finisher. Your goal is to have it's called terminal knee extension. That's kind of scary, right? Terminal knee extension just means that at the knee's fullest extension, the heel lifts from the floor. So whether you try to do that with your legs straight out in front of you or wide, like now you're putting a little bit of a little more focus into your stretch. It's not about you rolling forward. It's about you identifying, can I actually get terminal knee extension? So pick a leg, look at it, push the back of the leg down. And when you do that, that front thigh muscle is required to activate. You're like, yeah, but I thought this was our stretch. And then release it. Look at leg number 2. Push down. Fire up the quad, flex the foot, and see if you can get clearance. That's your test. Release and relax. This is your stretch. One time to each side, and when we're going to talk about terminal knee extension. As if I haven't talked enough already. Release and relax. Here's the last little bit. You're done with your workout. I'm just going to talk to you for a second. If you are unable to get terminal knee extension, all that means is that when you're standing, your knees are actually the position that your leg is unable to get into creates stress on the knees. So though this looks exaggerated, right? This is often how the body is in a stance position if you're not able to get terminal knee extension. So when the legs are not in full extension, the knees are suffering, and you don't actually feel like a suffering, but every time you're up and active doing something, the knee is taking the brunt of your weight. And this is why so many people have this kind of unexplained knee stress and strain. It's because their quad and their glute aren't doing the jobs. And so the load is on the bent position. Now, that's enough for the soapbox, but thank you.